Okay. A gute Woche, a freiliche Woche. We just this Shabbos blessed the upcoming month of Av, and this month is um anniversary of the passing of Hillel Parsha on the 11th of Av. I wanted to share a story about Reb Hillel. It is said that the Tzemach Tzedek once declared that he has two and a half Hasidim. And one of the half Hasidim that Tzemach Tzedek had was Reb Hillel Parsha. And the reason why he was called a half a Chassid was because the other half of him was Rebbe, or as some Chassidim say, the half of him that was Rebbe was the one that was a part of him that was so devoted to the Rebbe. The fact that he was so nullified and so devoted, it was like as if he was one with the Rebbe. So he wasn't a separate entity. He was half Chassid, half a separate entity, and half completely united with the Rebbe. However it may be interpreted, it's certainly a unique status. So I wanted to talk a little bit about Reb Hillel and his life. Reb Hillel was very knowledgeable in Kabbalah, even before he became a Chassid of Alter Rebbe. He was so proficient in Torah and Kabbalah that his fame spread about him, and he wasn't only known for his knowledge, but also for his piety and his devotion to Yiddishkeit. But when he discovered the teachings of Tanya, it made him completely depart from his original position in serving Hashem. He originally was a Chernobyl Chassid of Chernobyl. Double check I'm saying this correctly. Hold on. Yeah. Reb Hillel was originally a Chassid of Mordechai Chernobler. And when he was 15 years old already, he was an expert in all the writings of the Arizal. He would fast a lot. He would do various things to torture his body as a form of penance to make himself a vessel for spirituality. And then he discovered the Tanya. And he realized that there's a hidden light in the Tanya. And he decided he wants to connect to the teachings of Chassidus Chabad. So, although he knew a lot of Kabbalah and a lot of Chassidus of Mordechai Chernobyl, he realized, in the language of the previous Rebbe, his eyes were opened. He realized there's something new here that he didn't have before. This expression, his eyes were opened, is a similar expression Torah uses in regards to Adam and Eve. Because of the sin of the tree of knowledge, they became aware of evil in the world. And that awareness was what made them, brought their downfall. But here with Reb Hillel, it was a rectification of that kind of awareness, within a new awareness of seeing the true reality, seeing the godliness in everything. So in the year Tafkuf Ayin Ches, the Mittler Rebbe told Reb Hillel that he needs to travel to various villages to Kleiben Gashmius and Zein Ruchnius, which means to gather the material, and to plant the spiritual. Which today, this phrase is common in Chabad to refer to fundraising. Fundraising isn't only about raising money; it's also about planting spirituality. So he had to raise money to rescue Jews who were imprisoned for various reasons. In those days, it was very common for someone who couldn't pay their rent to be imprisoned by the landowner. So Reb Hillel, he would go around and he would raise funds. But when he would raise funds, he didn't just raise funds. Wherever he went, he would plant a seed. Just like when you plant a seed, you don't know when that seed will grow into a tree and produce fruit. Just planting a seed. So too, Reb Hillel, when he would travel, he wasn't always able to tell what kind of an impact he was making with his visits, but he did plant those seeds. And that's what he did his entire life. He raised funds to rescue Jews, and he also was involved in helping soldiers in the army to have kosher food. So the previous Rebbe said that when the Tzemach Tzedek became Rebbe, Reb Hillel had a hard time with this mission of traveling, to going to these small villages. The reason why he was especially bothered at this time was actually because of a discourse in Hasidic philosophy that he heard from the Tzemach Tzedek. The Tzemach Tzedek was talking about various souls, and he was saying that there are some souls from the highest world, the world of Atzilus, which is a world that all there is in that world is godliness. It's a revelation of the truth of Hashem. And there are souls that come from that world. That's their spiritual station. They're from that world. All they know about, all they have is godliness. They're even greater than the souls of the world of Bria, where the souls of Bria have some kind of identity. The souls of Atzilus, they are completely enveloped in Hashem's truth. Just to contrast this with the souls of the world of Bria, the world of Bria, it says the souls are like fish in the water. And the fish need the water to live. The fish are completely submerged in their source. You don't see the fish, you just see the source of the fish, the energy of the fish, the life force of the fish, the water. So too the souls in the world of Bria, they're called souls of Alma Discasia, souls of a hidden world, where you don't notice the world, you just notice the divine energy in the world. The souls in the world of Bria are constantly in a state of attachment to their source. They're always in a state of dveikus. However, the kind of dveikus that the souls of Atzilus have is on a whole different level. Because the souls of Bria, they still are somewhat of an entity. They exist. Their existence is their attachment to Hashem, but they still exist. The previous Rebbe describes the world of the souls of the world of Bria, and he says it's called the possibility of existence, even though they exist. But the reason why they're classified as possibly existing is because their existence isn't a regular kind of existence. All their existence is about their attachment to their source. But then there are the souls of Atzilus. The souls of Atzilus are always attached to their source in a way that they can't even be called. They can't even be called souls to a certain extent. I mean, Chassidus does describe the souls of Atzilus, but they can't be called creations of Hashem. The world at Bria means creation. Before Bria, there's no creation. In the Rebbe's famous analogy of the four worlds, the souls of Atzilus are in the king's private chamber. All there is the king. Versus the souls of the world of Bria, in the analogy, are in the king's throne room, where there is other things besides the king there. Everyone may be they may be focused on the king, but there is a sense of separation, a sense of identity. So the Tzemach Tzedek was talking about souls in general, and especially the great virtue of the souls of Atzilus. And then he said that within every soul, there are 5 levels. There are the nefesh, ruach, and neshama. There is the part of the soul which is nefesh, which is about action, serving Hashem in our actions. There is ruach. There is a part of the soul which empowers our love and reverence for Hashem. There's neshama, which is this part of the soul which allows us to understand that there's nothing besides Hashem. And then there is chay yechida. There are the higher parts of the soul, which chay is a desire to be close to Hashem beyond logic and reason. And yechida is the reason why a Jew, in the language of the Alter Rebbe, does not want and cannot sever his bond with Hashem. Yechida is the very essence of the soul. And the difference between the latter two, chay and yechida, and the first 3, is that the first 3 have connection to various parts of the body. the neshama, the power of understanding, is in the mind. The power of love is in the heart. But Chai Yechida are transcendent, meaning they leave the person in a state that's not so. They bring the person away from feeling a sense of self. This when a person's in a state of, let's say, Mesiras Nefesh, where he has to decide whether he's going to give up his life or give up his Judaism, and he decides to give up his life, which is an expression of the deepest part of the soul, the Yechida, that it's transcendent, it's above a regular kind of feeling. It's moving away from our ego, we're moving away from our humanness. So the Tzemach Tzedek was saying that every Jew has the higher levels of the soul and the lower levels of the soul. And he was saying that although we are talking about these higher souls, about Atzilus, as being classified as having this unique attachment to Hashem, but every Jew also has these higher levels of the soul, which are also analogous to the souls of Atzilus. In other words, we have an Atzilus part of us. Although we're not souls of Atzilus, but we also have higher parts of our souls. And it could be said about those higher parts of our souls that they're always in a state of attachment to Hashem. So the lower parts of our souls, which are engaged more with the physical world, engaged more with our humanness, with our personality, with our experience, our love, our reverence, our understanding, our actions, they're not in a state of attachment so much as the higher parts of the soul. So basically, the lower souls, which are associated with creation, they have something similar to them, to the souls of Atzilus. And when Rabbi Hillel heard this discourse about this, he became very emotional because he felt that he wasn't engaging with his higher parts of himself. He felt that he wasn't in a state of constant attachment to his source. He was traveling a lot. He was going from place to place. And he wasn't in the state of constant attachment to his source. And he was very upset. And he came to Tzemach Tzedek for a private audience. And he burst out crying. And he told Tzemach Tzedek he's not learning, he's not davening, because he has to travel to all these villages. And he asked Tzemach Tzedek if he should stop traveling, because he said the people that he's visiting are very simple people, and they have very minimal understanding to the teachings of Chassidus. Versus himself, he was capable of understanding very deep concepts in Chassidus. And yet the Mittler Rebbe told him he has to waste all this time and travel and not be in a state of tranquility where you're able to meditate and pray and to think and to develop connection to Hashem in a very real, personal way. And so for years he's doing this. But when he hears this Tzemach Tzedek saying the greatness of what a soul is, he was broken. So he felt bad about all the times he's wasting. And he's not doing what he would want to do if it was his decision what to do with his time. He would focus instead on praying and learning and his pain, his distress was real. And his distress and pain touch on a very fundamental question. It does say in Hayom Yom that if someone is able to make jewelry and he only makes bread, although bread is something that's needed, he's not doing his job. Everyone is to serve Hashem according to what they are meant to do. And so if someone is meant to make jewelry and they only make bread, although bread is necessary, it's considered a sin. So when a person is gifted with unique abilities, that's a divine sign that he has to be involved in those higher things. And if a person is just focusing on things which someone else could do, it's considered a sin. He's not doing his mission. The word sin doesn't mean it's a crime. It means he's not. The word sin means the Hebrew word for sin means deficiency. He's missing something in his mission in the world. He's not doing fully what he's supposed to be doing. So since Reb Hillel was able to serve Hashem in a much loftier way. So that's why he had this question: if all the time that he is dedicating to raising the money and visiting these villages, is it justified? And he was bothered about all the time he spent talking to these simple Jews, don't understand all these teachings. So he came to the Tzemach Tzedek and he asked the Tzemach Tzedek this question. Tzemach Tzedek listened, and he entered into a state of dveikus, in a state of rapture. Reb Gershon Dov told the story to the previous Rebbe, and he said to the previous Rebbe that my teacher, Reb Gershon Dov, was a student of Reb Hillel Parcher. He said, my teacher, Reb Hillel, said that just to see the attachment of the Tzemach Tzedek, it was worth traveling to Lubavitch 10 times over. By the way, Reb Hillel was one of those Hasidim who would travel as much as possible by foot. Hasidim didn't want to travel on a horse and share the mitzvah of traveling to the Rebbe with a horse. Reb Hillel said it was worth to travel to the Rebbe 10 times just to see once the attachment, the dveikus of the Tzemach Tzedek to Hashem. Reb Gershon Dov told the previous Rebbe that we didn't see the Tzemach Tzedek, but we heard Reb Hillel say that. And these words of Reb Hillel, that it would have been worth to travel 10 times just to see that, we live with that. We live with that teaching for months. The warmth of his words, said Reb Gershon Dov, those words he said infused us with vitality. Reb Hillel went on to say this: the Rebbe's dveikus, the Rebbe's attachment to Hashem, raised me up and put me in an entirely different place. The environment of the Rebbe, said Reb Hillel, is an environment of Hashem. As it says in the Torah, that the Talmud says that once the temple was destroyed, all Hashem has in the world is a place where Jewish law is studied. And in these 4 cubits, in the place of the teachings of halacha, I guess Reb Hillel is translating this similar to what the Alter Rebbe said, that halacha means inspiration, which means a place of not just where halacha is studied, but in a place where there is real inspiration to serve Hashem. So that's where Hashem, that's the place Hashem has in the world now after the temple was destroyed. So the Reb Hillel said, in this place of halacha, there is a similar revelation today as there was when the Beis Hamikdash was standing. So in the middle of the Tzemach Tzedek's rapture, Reb Hillel continued. The Rebbe opened his eyes and he quoted the words of the Gemara. Rab Nachman bar Yitzchak said, Anan pa'olei diyamamana. We are day workers. The simple meaning of Rab Nachman bar Yitzchak's statement was, we work during the day. We're day workers. But Tzemach Tzedek explained day workers to mean our job is to illuminate. Chas v'sholom, said the Tzemach Tzedek. You must not stop traveling to the colonies. You must not stop traveling to these villages. On the contrary, you should continue your work and you will illuminate that region with the light of Hasidus. And Reb Gershon Dov said to the previous Rebbe, everyone can see that my teacher, Reb Hillel, lit up the whole entire area, and especially the area of the villages of Kherson. So clearly, this wasn't something that was a sin, veering from his mission. He knew, because Tzemach Tzedek told him, that this indeed what his soul was sent to the world for. Parenthetically, Deborah Hashab said that there was a time where people could ask that question, is this my mission, is this not my mission? But in our time, said the Rebbe Rashab, grab and eat, grab and drink. Meaning before Mashiach comes, the order of Birurim, the order of refinement, the order of elevating sparks, the order of our mission in this world isn't as orderly as it was before. And everyone has to just follow the opportunities that Hashem sends them in engaging and inspiring other Jews and engaging with the world in the opportunities that Hashem sends. There was a chassid of the Baal Shem Tov. His name was Reb Tzaddik. Reb Tzaddik, whenever he was successful in business, he saw unique success in his business. He said, I know that the Baal Shem Tov is going to send someone to me to ask me to give him tzedakah for some purpose. He sensed that while he was working, seeing Hashem's blessing, he right away knew that this has to do with divine mission. And the previous Rebbe said that's the meaning of Hasidic character traits. Looking at your physical life and realizing the divine purpose of it, and feeling when you're looking at your life, saying this has a mission, and that's not only about me. That's Hasidic. That's not just good Jewish character traits. That's Hasidic character traits. It's a higher level. So Reb Tzadok, he had that sense. He knew this was something for something higher. So too Reb Hillel, he realized that although it bothered him a lot, but the correct approach was that the tzaddik, the generation, Tzemach Tzedek and the Mittler Rebbe, they knew exactly what his mission was, and they were telling him, this is something that only you could do. This is what your soul is here for. The Jewish world has lost a great chassid, Rabbi Avram Korf, that was emissary to the state of Florida. I was privileged to learn from him and to meet him many times. And he, like Reb Hillel, perhaps you could say a lot more than Reb Hillel, he really made a difference in hundreds and thousands of lives by the institutions that he created and the hundreds of Chabad centers that he established in the state of Florida. I just want to share one little anecdote about Rabbi Korf. Rabbi Korf, in his earlier years in his mission in Miami, he decided that he wanted to go be by the Rebbe for Passover, for Pesach, and he took his wife and 3 children in the car to drive to New York. It was the night of B'digas Chametz. It was a night of the search for Chametz, and it's everyone remembers that everyone's very tired that night. There's so much to do, and especially someone like Rabbi Korf, who gave heart and soul to his mission. So he's really tired. So he starts driving, and eventually he can't drive anymore. He asks his wife to take over. His wife takes over, and they're driving on a very, in those days, in the earlier years in his mission in Florida, the roads weren't as wide and as paved as they are today. And they're driving on this 2-way highway, but this big truck comes and it grazes against the car. And she tried to veer away from the truck, and because she veered away from the truck, the car grazed against some trees. So she got hurt a little bit, and he entered a state of shock. And his wife tried talking to him. He couldn't answer her. He was in a state of trauma. He was shocked. And she started to worry. And meanwhile, an ambulance came and brought us to a hospital. My wife called up, said Rabbi Korf, Rabbi Chadaka, Rabbi secretary, to ask for Rabbi's blessing. And after a short while afterwards, I recovered. And I was able to talk again. So at that point, Rabbi Korf said, I decided we can't continue by car. And we managed to get a flight to New York. When we arrived right before candlelighting time on Pesach. So Baruch Hashem, Rabbi Korf's, they arrived right before sundown on Pesach, right to his parents' house. And as soon as he gets there, his brother, Rapinya, whose yahrzeit was this week as well. Rapinya's yahrzeit always falls out around Parshas Pinchas. And never spoke about how Rapinya was connected to Pinchas, but that's perhaps for another time. So Rapinya said, I got to run to 770. I said, why have to run to 770? He said, because every half hour, the Rebbe's secretariat is calling up asking if you've arrived yet. So therefore, I need to tell them that you've arrived. Anyways, that holiday, while they were in New York, a couple of other scary things happened. Their 4-year-old son fell down the stairs, and Their 3-year-old daughter almost fell out of a window. Baruch Hashem, they were okay. But because of all these different events happening at the same time, he was very upset, and he asked Rabbi Chadakov if he could ask the Rebbe, what does this mean? Why is all this happening? And when Rabbi Chadakov left the Rebbe's room, he saw Rabbi Chadakov had this slight smile on his face. And he said, the Rebbe told me, they made it with his hands like it's nothing. The Rebbe said, there's nothing to worry about. He always lets me know before he travels. And this time, he did not let me know. That's what the Rebbe said. It says a lot. It says a lot about the Rebbe's involvement in his mission, and in every Jew was on a mission for the tzaddik of our generation, for the Rebbe to bring Mashiach. And now it's important to write and ask for bracha and to stay connected. But Rabbi Korf, he illuminated so many souls. He truly planted spirituality and he harvested physicality. And Baruch Hashem, there is a different world that we're living in today thanks to his sacrifice and dedication. Bottom line is that we just read in the Torah about Pinchas and how the Jewish people were in a state of locked up. They know what to do. And Pinchas comes and he rescues them. Pinchas comes and he rescues the Jewish people. He stands up, and now everyone has clarity of what's right and what's wrong. So too the Rebbe said that you may see a Jewish child. He's not going to a camp. He's not going to a Jewish school. And he's locked up. He's not in the right place. So the Rebbe says, the fact that you saw this, it's a message for you. And you need to do something about it. And don't say, the Rebbe says, oh, I haven't done anything till now, so what's the big deal? I see lots of things. So the Rebbe says that shouldn't be the way to go for the future. Baal Shem Tov taught that if you see something, there's a message from Hashem for you, and therefore you have to take the inspiration of Pinchas and realize that you can't let someone be caught, let someone be confined. That's also the message of the time that we're in now, in the 3 weeks. A soul is in captivity in a body, and it's in further captivity by being in the exile. And in further captivity, as it says in Chassidus, just having a job, a financial obligation, locks you up. And so we have to realize that the purpose of this descent is for the purpose of the ascent, of the coming Mashiach. The purpose of the exile, and the purpose of the 3 weeks, which the commemoration of the exile, is only in order for the coming Mashiach. And therefore, since this time is about happiness, as when Mashiach comes, we'll see that these 3 weeks are the happiest days of the year. So we have to prepare for the coming Mashiach by making this time a happy time. How? By rescuing another Jewish child, helping the Jewish child go to camp, and by studying about the Beis Hamikdash, and making our home as a Beis Hamikdash, having a set place in your home where to pray, set place in your home to study Torah, and to give tzedakah in your home, as Rebbe instructed. Everyone should put a tzedakah box in their kitchen. That's what we make it happen. That's what we build the Beis Hamikdash inside our homes, inside ourselves. And start with the joy now, celebrating Torah mitzvahs, which will bring us to the time of Mashiach. We'll celebrate like Simchas Torah and beyond. We see this happen immediately, mamish. A good tavach, a